Everybody so much for joining here today, taking some time out of your busy schedules to be with us. We're so happy to have you here. So as summer quickly is upon us, I'm really excited to be talking to you today about successful first year experience programs and the role that Hoonuit can play in those programs for you. And you'll also be hearing from one of our Hoonuit customers who they found success in their first year experience later on in today's webinar. So just a couple housekeeping items. If you do have any questions throughout this webinar, we definitely welcome any and all questions throughout it. If you could just type in your question into the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen there. Since we do have a lot to cover in this short amount of time here today, we'll follow up with all of the answers to those questions that you have in a follow-up communication after today's webinar. Also, today's webinar will be recorded and sent out to all of you in case you didn't catch something or you'd like to re-listen to it or pass it along to a colleague. So it will be recorded and you'll get that recording here sometime this week. Just briefly before we dive in, I wanted to introduce myself as I'll be taking you through today's webinar. My name's Megan Grossart and I'm the Product Engagement Manager here at Hoonuit. So I oversee the product positioning and the strategy and the communications to our customers and prospects. You'll also hear from one of our customer success managers today, Michelle Grady, later on in the webinar, and she'll be walking you through how Hoonuit can really align to your potential first year experience and initiatives and topics. So to dive right in here, I know that the summer months can be challenging sometimes to get faculty and staff on board with putting together a strong first year experience for your incoming students. The weather is nice out during the summer, there's summer classes in session, and the fall semester is probably not completely on people's minds quite yet, but your incoming freshmen will definitely be on campus before you know it. So some of you may already have an idea of a first year experience in mind, while others may not have tackled that initiative quite yet. So I wanted to speak for a moment here on how Hoonuit can really help you solve your first year experience initiative. So everything that we do revolves around our vision statement. So all of the decisions that we make really are anchored in our vision of empowering educators with the knowledge and insights to improve student outcomes. So we're committed to providing e-learning resources to your faculty, your staff, and your students so you can better understand how to implement effective strategies to ultimately drive positive change in your institution. Oops. So as part of our philosophy at Hoonuit, it's looking at e-learning in a more innovative way, making it outcome-based, flexible, and relevant to those that are consuming it. So e-learning needs to be convenient and multifaceted as online learning is really becoming expected, especially with the shift in the profile of incoming students. So many higher education students are now older in age, they have children and are at least working part-time while going to school. So this means that there's a strong need for campuses to really tailor their first year experiences to that student as well as other student populations as well, kind of reinventing how to engage these new students in their first year. So with that said, and in case you missed some of our recent updates, I wanted to take you back through a quick recap of some of our new enhancements to our e-learning product. So we've really hit on the concept of blended learning and the way in which e-learning is delivered in a variety of ways. So we found that this is extremely important when it comes to effective and accessible online learning. So with that in mind, we launched our new world-class media player. This uses cutting-edge technology that takes our online content and it can translate and transcribe that content in up to 9 different languages. So you also may have remembered and know that we are launching the opportunity to customize your own pathway. So our pathways are groupings of modules that are related in topic that make up one overarching theme. So they give you a chance to go more in depth into a topic, to personalize your learning by choosing from required and elective modules, and can give you the opportunity to earn graduate credit as well. So with the customization of a pathway, you're able to pick and choose different modules from our pathways, from our entire library, and you can even create your own videos to put into a pathway series. So being able to customize a pathway, it's just the first of many customizable pieces to our platform, which we'll get to those other pieces next here. So customization of content is really important to us so that you're able to leverage what we have already built. So letting us do that heavy lifting for you, but really allows you to fine tune the content to meet your exact needs at that exact time that you need it. So now that we've looked back at what has come out over the past few months here, I want to really clue you in on the future vision of Hoonuit. So we've made great strides to make e-learning personalized for you and are continuing to drive home that concept. So included in that is our course creation toolkit. So the toolkit is equipped with multiple components, including the on-demand video encoding and transcriptions and closed captions that I just mentioned, as well as being able to fully customize pathways, individual courses, pre and post module assessments, and even your own micro-credentials. So you'll be able to take what we have in our library or create all of your own content using our platform as that delivery mechanism. So the entire course creation toolkit will be available for you just in time for the 2018-2019 school year. So something to keep in mind is we'll be conducting a webinar later this summer at the beginning of August, where you'll actually be able to see a live demo of the whole toolkit and how you can use it to meet your institutional needs. And easily and intentionally build your first year experience. So stay tuned for that follow-up. We'll have that in a follow-up communication where you can register for that webinar as well. So now in the meantime, I want to take you through how you can utilize some of our useful enhancements now to make your first year experience unique and engaging. So this is really your time to get a little creative with your initiatives, as your faculty and staff may have a little bit more time to take on that first year experience initiative. So I wanted to take a moment to focus on maybe some of your institutional goals and how a first year experience can relate to those goals. So just some questions to ask yourself and think about as you're going throughout the planning process of your first year experience. So what is your first year student retention goal? So maybe your first year experience relates directly to that goal. So this retention rate is typically the lowest. So what goal are you striving to hit, and how can you tailor your first year experience to ensure that your first year students are happy and successful in that first crucial year? When will you conduct your first year experience and through what format? So maybe it will take place over the summer prior to the fall semester. Maybe it'll take place the week before classes start or all throughout the first semester or first year. So the format could be an online course, an in-person session, or more of an extracurricular style. And finally, will your first year experience be credit bearing? So this might tie into the format and the timing of your first year experience and what's most important for your institution when it comes to this program. So now here are some questions to think about when considering how you want to outline that first year experience for your students. So what skills do your students lack as they enter college? Maybe these are hard or soft skills. Chances are these skills have to do with the skills that are related to the new expectations of college courses compared to what they've been used to in high school. How will incoming students be feeling throughout their first few days, maybe their first few weeks or months on campus? Do they feel safe on campus? Do they know how to manage their time accordingly? Do they like their roommate? So there are many factors that go into this question and need to be addressed up front initially as students get on campus right away. How do students learn best during their first semester or their first year? So this is going to drastically change for students as they are used to learning and studying differently in high school or prior to entering your institution. And what technology skills will students need to be successful? So what skills do they have right now, and what do your courses require? So is it Microsoft Office skills, Google Drive skills, or something else along those lines? So these are just brushing the surface around the questions that you can ask yourself and what you can ask your faculty and staff when coming up with your specific first year experience ideas. Now, I wanted to just show you a few areas that we cover as far as our content goes, as we have over 1,600 different modules in our on-demand library. So each are outcome-based with our learning framework integrated, where users can learn the content and then they apply it through an activity. They collaborate with our Hoonuit community to get feedback and finally test their knowledge through an assessment. So these initiatives on this screen may be exactly the initiatives and ideas that you want for your first year experience, or maybe not, and that's where you can work with your customer success manager to really make sure that your goals for your first year experience align with what we have to offer. So with all of that said, I want to now pass it off to our customer success manager and former general education program chair and applied learning coordinator, Michelle Grady. And she's going to take a deeper dive into some of the specific modules and the titles that fall into some of these important topics that may cover those questions that we talked about prior. So with that, I'll pass it off to Michelle.
Thanks, Megan. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. As Megan said, I've got some experience in general education program, and first year experiences was certainly a part of that. We tried a lot of different things at the campus I was at. We tried building it into orientation. We tried having it separate from orientation, and we did officially have a course on it as well. So today I'm going to share with you some of the best practices that I had from that, as well as some of the conversations I've had with some of my other campuses that I work with. So first and foremost, to me, first year experiences is all about setting and managing college expectations. A lot of people don't necessarily know what they're getting into when they sign themselves up for courses, and so our job is to help them prepare themselves so that there's no big surprises. A couple of the series that we have listed here are really going to be beneficial for that, and there's a number of ways that you can incorporate them. These are series I would encourage you to link them to when the student first starts as part of their orientation program, but another system that we found that works really well was putting together a series of seminars for student success. And that's a great way to tie in our content, where each week you could highlight a different topic, something along the lines of successful time management or study styles. And then students would be able to participate. And of course, we always did drawings because students like free things. So anybody that would complete a full series could then submit their certificate of completion and get an entry into a drawing where they could win some campus swag or some other kind of gift cards along those lines. It's also a great opportunity to introduce students to a lot of the different people on campus that are going to be important to their success. So here you can see right away we're talking about financial aid, and getting them in to talk to the financial aid counselors about their options is something we want to make sure we're doing right from the beginning. In addition to how do I prepare for a college workload, we also have a series on transitioning from high school to college, which is going to be great for some of those more traditional students. The next area we are going to go to, here we go, okay, are some effective coursework strategies. One of my biggest frustrations when I was teaching our student success course was that I found myself at the end of our first day of class spending a good half an hour walking students through, here's how you format a paper in APA. Here's how you submit an assignment in Blackboard. They were just not sure how to do it, and I wanted to set them up for success. And that's not something that we want to be spending our time on in the classroom per se. So linking a training on the LMS that your campus is using and how to properly post to a discussion board or submit in there can be very beneficial to you. There's a lot of other areas where we can tie in well like that as well. So you see here we've got research essentials, we have MLA, APA, and Chicago formatting. We have a lot of different resources on writing, including academic integrity and avoiding plagiarism. We also have things that you might not necessarily think of, like training on scientific calculators. So if there's a scientific calculator in your math class, odds are really good we have a series on that particular calculator for you. We also have PowerPoint and Prezi for those that are looking at doing presentations or Google Slides. Another great area is career services. We don't want to wait until they're graduating for them to walk in and meet those career services people. So we want to make sure we're getting them out there sooner rather than later. Some great ways to tie this into for your first year experiences courses. How involved should I be on campus life? How does that tie into building your resume? Looking at keys to networking and internships, what I found to be a really great assignment in that first year experiences course was interviewing the person who had your dream job. Many of the students found out their dream job really wasn't the dream they thought it was and ended up changing their major. And again, we want them to have that figured out their first semester, not their last semester. In addition to that, a number of people were able to get internships or even jobs out of those particular assignments. So it was really a great way to get them out there and meeting people. And anytime you connect the student to their career goals, they're more likely to stay invested in their program. And so that's another area we really want to be focusing on right from the beginning here. So those are just a couple of the different areas on campus that we really tie in well to. And again, aside from linking our series, you do have the ability to assign our content through your LMS, as well as to create your own custom series. So let's say that you want to put together your own series on first year experiences. You can easily do that using our content, and you could pull in from our time management series and from our note-taking series and our learning styles and communication styles and put them all together to really give your students everything they need to know to be successful on your campus. I've even worked with a few schools that have done online orientation separately. So if a student is going to take an online course, they have to go through a separate new student experience program. So the options there are really kind of the sky is the limit. It's however creative we can get in using it. And on that note, I am going to go ahead and hand it off now to Maria. She is joining us today from Jefferson Community and Technical College. She is one of the people I work closely with, and she is going to share with us a little bit about her program and how they really implemented Hoonuit on their campus.
Thanks, Megan, and thanks, Michelle, both for inviting me to be a part of this today. As I told them, I am one that can talk a lot about this. So I tried to keep some notes so that I would keep myself on task. But basically, I'll give a little bit of history about Jefferson. Jefferson is the largest of 16 community and technical colleges that is part of a statewide system, the Kentucky Community and Technical College System. Jefferson has 6 campuses, with our main one being downtown Louisville. So it's very much an urban campus, whereas the other 5 are much smaller, rural type campuses. We also have a technical campus as one of those 5 that is also downtown. We average around 13,000 students. Sometimes, I think last year we were closer to 12,000, but we are building our dual credit, so that bumps our numbers back up to the $13,000 range. I mean, 13,000 number range. In 2010, we became an Achieving the Dream institution. And if you're not familiar with that, that's a Gates Foundation designation. And it's basically just a commitment that your school is making to student success. And as a part of that, we spent 2011 gathering data, internal evaluations about our processes, our college, our students, where are the gaps, where are their needs, and things like that. And at the end of that year, we had an all-day college-wide PD event, and those results were shared with the faculty and staff of the college. And I remember that day very distinctly because it was kind of one of those things when you really see the data. It was stuff we probably already knew, but when you see it plastered up on a screen in an auditorium, it looks really bad to see a 9% graduation rate. We had always made excuses about why our students didn't stay. They didn't intend to stay. That we were their first step to transfer and all those things. But the reality is we know that many of our students were just lost. So after that day, the college said, okay, where are we going to focus? We can't obviously fix everything in this first go around. So what are we going to focus on? And the college's commitment then became to focus on our first year students, our first time at Jefferson students. And we looked at it through a variety of ways, a redesigned orientation, looking at what we called front door processes. As I said, our main campus is downtown. It was very difficult to even determine which buildings were part of our campus. So we looked at that, identification of our campus and some of our admissions processes, and then the first year experience course. So we formed research teams to look at best practices. I was the chair of the research team for the student success course, and then each team made recommendations to our college leadership. And I would say that even if your institution is not an Achieving the Dream institution per se, that this process is still a really good process to go through to get that buy-in, because that way we knew from the beginning everybody was kind of on board with that. So the recommendation came about that we would have a 3-credit-hour course requirement, that all first time at Jefferson students would take our first year experience course. And as a part of that course, we would have some structured advising and things along that line. So an implementation team was formed, and we created a new course that was piloted in spring of 2013 with a full implementation for fall of 2013. So to back up just a little bit, I was the coordinator for our Gen classes. We had a 1-credit-hour and a 3-credit-hour course that was basically really heavy study skills. And quite honestly, when we started this process, I thought, you know what, we already have a 3-credit-hour course. This is going to be easy. We'll just require that course for everyone. But one of the things that our implementation team really looked at is, what does a first-time college student need to know? And so we came up with this whole laundry list of things that from research and our own experiences about what a freshman student needed. And we made a list and we pared it down to what would be manageable for a course. And then we compared it to the current course, and it didn't match. And so what we said was, we can't offer this course and just say, this is what we're going to do. We needed a whole new course. And so the FYE 105 that we offer now, it has a greater emphasis on academic and career planning. The study skills piece is there, but I always like to say that's the more flexible piece, and that's where this Hoonuit product and all the resources is so great, is because we don't have a structured plan for necessarily teaching those study skills. So it's really nice to be able to bring in these resources and customize it to what the students that are sitting in front of you as the instructor are needing at that moment. Sometimes I have a class that they seem to really have it together as far as note taking, but their time management's terrible. Or, it seems like they all need time management. The reality of that is true. But there's other, like I may have a class that's really high academics, and they may not need as many of these study skills, or it might be just a few students in that class. So rather than me having to spend a lot of time on it, I can supplement with these extra activities for the students that really do need just those skills. This is also a kind of a way on your campus, if you're combating what I always have to battle, is that philosophy of not every student needs it. I would argue every student needs advising, which is the key component of our course. And that it doesn't hurt to interject some of these study skills throughout the process or throughout the class as well. The other big thing I would say is just make sure you're looking at the connections on your campus. As I said, we had that full faculty, staff, administration buy-in from the very beginning. I don't feel like a successful first-year experience class or even program can be an initiative that's created in isolation. There's too many key players that need to be at that table. So I think it's really important that you get that full buy-in. And as a part of that buy-in, I would also really encourage everyone to include the students. Make sure you have a student voice. I know a lot of times we say in first year experience world, students don't know what they don't know. And I do believe that's true. But I also believe that a student can help pave the way for a new initiative, because they can, as being a part of that process, they then see the importance of it. But then they also have that different perspective of reminding us of the needs of the current students. But the biggest one I would say to make sure you have included is your advising. No student success course. You can't get students into the course unless your advising center is on board. So that was a really important one for us, and they were very much a part of all of our planning and conversation. And then the last piece that became so vital for us was what I like to refer to as wraparound services or the student support. It was great to have the class, but we still had really at-risk students who would disappear, and they needed some help in some ways. We use an online textbook, which for many of our students was the first time of dealing with something like that. So our Learning Commons was very helpful, which is where our tutoring is, in helping us supply some of these extra supports for our students. And here again, this is where we were able to partner with Hoonuit and say, okay, here are some resources. When you're meeting with a student who's in an FYE class and they're struggling with this, you could refer them and sit down and have them do these different modules. It's also been really helpful with our online, as she referred to earlier. These are a different group of students, and we have students that are working and taking a lot of online classes or hybrid format. So I also feel like these resources are great for that as well. And then the final way that I really like using the resources is with my instructors and their professional development. There's not a degree in first year experience. So the instructors of these classes are coming from all different areas. I've got some with counseling. I have an MBA. I've got an accounting. I've got nursing. So they're all bringing different things to the classroom, which is great, but then they also have needs as well. And so it's really nice to be able to refer them to these resources and say, you don't have to know it all. Here's where you can go and get extra help or extra support to help you teach these different topics within the class. I know I'm short on time, and so I just want to talk briefly about our next steps. We are looking at ways to contextualize and create sections of the course that are based on career paths or majors and student group population. So like this year we had some ESL sections, we had some general transfer, specific transfer based on different majors. So there's always ways that we are trying to recreate it and keep it fresh for our students. I have an advisory team now that we meet every year and really look at the data to make sure that the course is doing what we say we want it to do. And then it also helps us identify the gaps so that we can see what resources do we need.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Maria. If any of you have any questions for Maria, again, feel free to chat them in, and I will have her follow up with you, or we can get the questions answered and those answers out to you in a follow-up communication. So thank you for sharing your story, Maria. I think it was really great to hear about your struggles initially, and then how you were able to turn that around and a great first year experience program that you currently have in place, and what's to come in the future for your new additions to the experience. So that wraps up our webinar for today. So I want to thank you all for tuning in here and listening and taking some time out of your busy schedules as the semester wraps up. But I really hope that you got something out of this and are able to really kickstart your first year experience planning here this summer. And that you were able to take something away as an initiative to focus on for your students that are coming in the fall. So with that, we truly value all of you as a part of our Hoonuit community, and we will follow up with you in the next couple of days with today's recording, just in case you missed something or wanted to listen to it over again, as well as the opportunity to sign up for August's webinar, where we'll dive into that full course creation toolkit and do a live demo. As well as the opportunity to always schedule a meeting or a demo with your customer success manager. So thanks again, everybody, for your time today, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your semester. Thank you.